Bubba Shout the Podcast, and that's right.
Welcome to Bubba Shot the Podcast. First, the facts. Fact number one, it is February. We have 4 weeks of Bubba in the month of February, and we are doing 4 weeks straight. We hope you folks listening are George Strait fans. If you are not, but you're Bubba fans, you're still going to love it. What we're going to do is we're going to take country music and 90s country music legend George Strait and do 4 songs in a row for this whole month. What a way to celebrate Black History Month. Corey,
I was getting ready.
Corey,
Me too.
Corey, this was your idea. I didn't mean to bring up the Black History part and then throw to you immediately.
Yeah.
But the idea of doing 4 weeks straight, tell us why you want to do that and why people should be excited.
Well, here's the deal. George Strait is one of those dudes who I believe that, obviously on this podcast, I'd say that 90% of people listening to it are huge country music fans, or at least used to be. But I would say that there's at least 10% of people who just like hearing us talk, And George Strait is one of those people, much like we talked last week with, oh my God, what song did we do?
Friends
in Low Places. It's one of those country songs that even if you don't like country, you've definitely heard. Well, George Strait, I feel like, has a million of those. When we first started talking about doing this podcast, we were all kicking it around. And of course, we were lamenting the fact that I don't know if that would be a sustainable idea. I don't know how long we could do that. And then it kind of occurred to me, I was like, we literally could do an entire year focused only on the number one hits that George Strait had, just the number one hits that George Strait had in the 90s. So he's called George Strait, or King George. That is for a reason. I've always had a little trouble with that because we live in a world where George Jones exists. So I don't know if he's King George, but that is his name regardless.
But George Jones is the possum.
He is the possum. You're right. But
Possums can't be kings? Is that what
yeah,
you're saying?
Trey, you fucking possumist.
I'm just saying that, they got their names.
You're right.
Oh,
But
This is the possum.
This is a guy who, if Friends in Low Places is the song of 90s country, it's hard to argue that George Strait isn't the artist of 90s country, in my opinion.
Interesting. Trey, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I just feel like Garth is also that.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
Yeah,
Garth
you gotta
was.
make it
I'm just talking about for number one hits.
I don't know the stats on that, but I know that the 90s was, that's when Garth fucking did Central Park and 3 million people. He was definitely bigger than George Strait.
Yeah,
in the
but
90s.
I don't think
he was bigger than everybody.
I don't think
According
he had
to
as
the
many number one
master-
hits, though.
According to the Master Musicians Museum in Nashville, which honestly is one of my favorite museums I've ever been to, go check it out. It's all about the people who were making the music, behind the music. Not behind the music, but the studio musicians who made Nashville what it was. According to them, the only band that has outsold the Beatles is Garth Brooks' backing band.
Okay, I was just trying to get into this goddamn week. I'm sorry if all my fucking facts weren't straight, you cocksucking piece of shit.
Well, I mean,
I do think he had more number one hits. I do think he had more number one hits.
Person in the 90s is something you took personally. I didn't realize that being right about George Strait is something that meant a lot to you and how you see.
I do think he has more number one hits than Garth Brooks. I think he has more number one hits than anybody.
I think you might be right, but I think that he started in the 80s.
I still think he has more number one hits in the 90s than Garth Brooks does.
Just in the 90s alone.
Yeah.
I just Googled George Strait versus Garth.
We got our Indian on it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And all it says is George is better known for standing in front of his band and singing number one hits, while Garth is all over the stage getting the crowd going.
Well, yeah.
That doesn't really.
I'm just saying. I think George Strait probably has more number one hits than Garth Brooks.
I think this is legitimately a great debate. I think that being on either side of it is fair. I think,
for the record, I think Garth Brooks is better.
I think I would fall on the Garth side. We do need to talk about what Tushar alluded to, which is George Strait is really just a singer, which is interesting. Before we get into that, let me just say, both for our female listeners and because I think this is genuinely worth bringing up, Shania Twain changed the game in the 90s. She's definitely the queen. There's probably a few people who could compete with her a little bit, but I think Shania Twain is undeniably the queen. Who sits on the king throne is I think it's genuinely a good debate between those two.
Yeah, because they're just two completely different types of things. I mean,
I think George Strait is the penultimate of the country music that came before him from the 80s and post Outlaw. He was that to a T, perfection. He stood there, he sung, he was handsome. He looks like Kevin Costner with darker features. Like,
he's a good-looking man.
Yeah. And then Garth ushered in the new era that the 90s launched. So to me, we're on opposite sides of that.
I remember when George Strait put out this album. It was 2004. He put out an album called 50 Number Ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's a compilation of his first 50 number one hits. His
Talk
first 50.
about a big dick.
His first 50. He apparently has had 10 more since then because he's had 60 number one hits. Now that starts in 1982, and that also includes the 2000s. But Garth Brooks, according to what I Googled, only has total 20 number one hits. So he has more than 3 times the number one hits Garth Brooks has. I still think that Garth Brooks in the 90s was bigger than any country musician's ever been or ever will be,
that's
including George Strait.
It's just by which metric do you want to judge it?
Is this a Tupac versus Biggie argument?
Kinda. Because, I mean, obviously one of them did sell more than the other, but there's still going to be people that go, well, that doesn't fucking matter. You know, one's got better flow, yada, yada.
Based on what Tushar said, you know, he's like, George just known for standing in front of his band and singing. I can remember, like, that's actually something that I was going to bring up. I remember Thompson once, like, we were watching, like, a George Strait concert on TV or something. I mean, this would have been like...
Or maybe it was his movie.
He had like a concert movie.
No, he had just a rodeo movie he was in, but he also was in a band in it, and he played a loose version of himself.
It was him playing music in front of a band, and for multiple songs. I feel like, because I just remember at some point, we were just sitting there, and Thompson was just like, "Man, is he ever going to play that guitar?"
Yeah,
it's like he had a guitar strapped on in front of a band. And he might like hit one note or something, but he mostly didn't really play it. He just stood there singing, you know, wonderfully.
Yeah, right.
Or whatever.
Great songs.
But yeah, it wasn't like, whereas, you know, Garth Brooks was a fucking...
He's a showman.
Man on fire up there. Yeah, he was a showman.
But in some ways, that's impressive to me that George Strait really was just a voice pretending to be a singing cowboy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He didn't have to do none of that other shit, God damn it.
George Strait.
George fucking Strait.
Well, that's why he was also old school even in the 90s, because he was like, oh, yeah, look at Garth running. I mean, he didn't say any of this, but if there was a faction in the fan base, it'd be like, yeah, running around like some kind of rock star. That ain't what cowboys do.
Yeah.
They get up there, they put on the Wranglers, they sing in 2 keys, they look at your grandma, she combs her pants, and then they go home.
While pretending to play a guitar like a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I did a little bit reading just about George Strait, and his first number one hit was When I Was Born, and he's still relevant. It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I mean, he's obviously not as relevant as he was back in the 90s, but that motherfucker is still absolutely playing huge theaters and shit. If he's still touring, I don't know, but like, you know.
Yeah.
The thing I read, he has a Vegas residency, or he did for a long time.
Good for him. I would love to see his ass in Vegas, man. But yeah, he's just like, again, regardless of who actually was the artist of the 90s, he's on the fucking Mount Rushmore, and there's no question about that.
So he has an ongoing Vegas residency?
We
should go. I'm 100% going to that next time I'm in Vegas.
We should go to Vegas just to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like it fucking hits to me.
But it seems like George Strait saved country from veering too poppy, like what Garth Brooks was doing. He from what I read,
will say that the one thing that did hit about George Strait did put out a bunch of hits, and he still put out songs within the last 10 years. And as far as country radio go, I would hear him and be like, yeah, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, not as good as his other stuff, but like they're pretty good.
Do you know when that article was written about him saving it from pop? Because that sounds like something someone wrote in 2002, and then Garth won, bro.
Right.
Like, like,
I'll
and then
send you
20 years
over.
later, he didn't save shit.
I didn't read actually. I watched a couple of YouTube videos.
My man.
I saw an
Boy,
article.
lazy.
I saw an article.
Look,
I
man,
read a
headline,
headline,
bro.
a YouTube
What are
headline.
we doing? That's fine.
YouTube
All right, we're gonna
headline.
pause 2 seconds for station identification. Tushar, you are well, you clearly are. You were or were not aware of George Strait. I mean, as you looked into this, did you recognize these songs? Did you recognize the song we're doing today, which is, by the way, Sharing Your Love with Me?
I recognize who he is, and
Mhm.
I know him as like a country music singer. And this song I didn't actually know until I started playing it. And then the second the main chorus starts, I just pictured like 50 blonde Southern women just fucking losing it.
I know that was a Freudian slip. I know that you were trying to say country. That's fucking hilarious.
Dude,
I'm
if
not
you
so
planned
sure.
that, you're a fucking genius.
But they were, I picture that. And so that's when it resonates like that. I'm like, oh, this is,
Yeah.
but otherwise I couldn't tell you his like discography,
I think, fellas, I'm going to posit. I've been circling back in my brain to that debate. I think it's a legit debate. I think it might be a generational divide where a lot of people our age would say it was Garth. But I think my parents' age, a lot of them would be like, no, it's George Strait. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's just a stylistic thing. I mean, there's going to be some people who are just more into like George Strait. I don't know. Garth is kind of more rock. I mean, I love him, but like a lot of his songs, they could have played on rock radio and they would have made sense. George Strait is, you said it perfectly earlier. Like he makes your grandmama's. That's what I call, making your grandma's pussy wet, volume 4.
Volume 1.
Volume 1.
The original
Conway was volume 1, I think.
I mean,
you're right. You're so right. But
what
he's
do you call
in that vein.
Mima?
Now that's what I call getting your mama's pussy wet.
that came up on here before. Right?
I did a sketch about it, like an audio sketch on my old podcast, and yes, I've talked about it on here. I wrote like 4 songs for it.
I think that like George Strait hit more consistently for longer.
Yeah.
But for that moment in the 90s, Garth Brooks got bigger than anyone, including George Strait, has ever or will ever be in country music ever again.
Without question. The king, maybe that's what happened. We had a passing of power there towards the end. I think.
But George Strait kept going though. It ain't like he stopped hitting or nothing.
Right. He didn't murder him, Trey. This is country music, but I just meant maybe he took the crown from him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, George Strait had like that song Troubadour.
I love that fucking. That's one of his best songs.
It is, and that song came out in the 2000s.
Yeah, like 2008.
And that song was in fucking Don't Look Up. Leonardo DiCaprio listens to that song while he's driving through the city waiting on the earth.
It was, and I love that choice.
So, me too, because I'm saying, because
I really
that
like
song
that
fucking really hits. That's was that written by Jamie Johnson? Or
probably
no,
if it was
the one about the ring, the wedding ring.
Oh yeah.
That was
Give It Away was written by Jamie Johnson and Son.
That was Jamie Johnson.
I heard Jamie Johnson one night try to tell the story of him writing that song to a crowd, and he tried to tell it 15 times.
Because he was hammered fucking
drunk.
Buddy. Yeah, I've never seen him not be hammered drunk. But yeah, Troubadour, that was much more recent song. It hits like a motherfucker. So I'm just saying, like, that's what I mean. Like, he was consistent for 3 decades, at roughly the same level.
Real quick, I just looked up his tour dates. He has a residency at the MGM Resorts. He's playing.
We gotta go.
The T-Mobile Arena, and his last 2 shows that are scheduled at least are February 11th and 12th.
Oh, damn it.
In a couple weeks, yeah.
That's next week, or it's not 2. Well, I don't know when this comes out. It doesn't matter.
We got to start taking Bubba field trips, right, Drew?
Hell yeah, we got to go do some stuff live. We got to go to the Ryman, dude. Got to go to the Ryman and do a show from there. That's what we got to do.
That would be legit. Do a karaoke show.
let's do a segment that'll prevent the Ryman from ever hosting us. I have come up with a game mostly for Tushar, but we can all play. In honor of 4 weeks straight, we're going to do a game that I'm calling George Strait, George Gay. Let me get my ducks rowed here. So for this segment, Tushar, I will be reading you lyrics, and all three of you can play. But I think Tushar will have the most colorful responses, and I think has this. I can fool him easier.
Right.
I'm going to read some lyrics from George Michael or George Strait, and Tushar is going to tell us is George Strait or George Gay. Are you ready, Tushar?
I cannot wait. I wish I had a buzzer.
Do you want to pull up Indian Outlaw, the first 3 beats, and you can go dun, dun, dun.
We could just let Tushar just answer first, and then me and Corey can be like, if we know this one or we don't know this one.
Yeah.
You know,
But yeah,
that.
definitely let Tushar do all
Maybe
that.
you guys can give me hints.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, okay.
You've changed. You're not the angel I once knew. No need to tell me that we're through.
Damn.
I'll go George Strait.
George Gay.
I was thinking George Gay.
I was also thinking George Gay.
Damn.
But it definitely could have gone either way.
I was just thinking George Gay only because like I didn't recognize that at all.
Right. And pretty much know all his lyrics.
Yeah.
Can
Right.
we
Well,
do
from all his hit, Drew might be doing deep cuts here. I don't know. If he is, then I'm not, I may not know him.
Can we do George Strait versus George Bi? Because clearly this guy is bi.
Oh, yeah. He got it in.
Well, Tushar, that's not
Was
a
he?
funny play on words, but sure, we can do whatever you want. I mean,
Hold on. George Michael, was he known to be? I thought he was just real gay.
I'm pretty sure he's real gay, but I figure he fits some in every now and then.
I guarantee. Look at him. I mean, fucking looks like Jose Canseco sucking a dick.
Yeah, man.
We call it whatever you want to,
George.
I can't believe that this is the point in Bubba Shot the podcast tenure that you are suddenly uncomfortable with labels.
George Queer. No.
And we'll be right back.
I want to dance with you, twirl you all around the floor. That's what they intended and invented dancing for.
I do know that one.
Me too.
Oh man.
Matter.
I'm gonna
Go ahead.
It feels like such a country alpha male thing to say, so I'm gonna go George Strait.
Bow, bow, bow.
You are correct. I
Isn't
will
that a
ask
John
Corey and
Prine
Trey
song?
to refrain from commenting until he
I think
answers,
so.
because if you know it,
No, it implies it's George Strait. You're right. That's right.
Yeah.
We won't. But that's a.
Oh, that's right.
John
You don't
Prine-
know any.
I know for a
George
fact John
Queer.
Prine did that song. Is that a John Prine song, or did he just also do a version of it? Do you know?
I
I
don't
bet he
think
wrote
I'm
it.
trying to ever do a cover, but I'm not.
No,
sure.
he did. Clay Pigeons.
Clay
is
Pigeons by Blaze Foley, yeah.
Yeah, but that's Foley, you know.
Right.
Sure, but well, anyway, I just know that John Prine, because that song hits for me, but I always listen to the John Prine version of it.
All right, here we
I
go.
like it.
Well, you know, if Prine wrote it, hell, they might have both did it. I wish I'd have found a song they both did. That would have fucking ruled.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, here we go. Like the ocean tides, highs and lows, love sometimes comes and goes in Marina Del Rey. As this plane is touching down, tears touch my eyes, for I have found my heart has stayed in Marina Del Rey.
I'm gonna go George. I'm gonna go George Gay.
All right, do we have an
And-
answer from the other two?
That is George Strait.
I was going to say George Strait. but I don't
George
know that one.
Strait.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just figured.
That
I thought
song,
he.
you know that
Marina
song?
Del Rey.
Yeah, I don't know that one. I don't think.
I picked him because I thought George Strait only lived like in Texas and
Right.
I picture Marina.
Yeah.
Del
Oh, boys be talking about marinas.
Yeah.
It's true.
Fuck! I'm getting one for 3 so far.
Yeah.
God damn it!
Maybe I'll be strong enough. I don't know where to start, but I know I'll never find my peace of mind while I listen to my heart.
That's just a good lyric. I'll go George Strait.
George Gay.
You fucking suck, dude.
I suck at this game, man.
Sweetest of the sweet, those ruby lips. No other has that touch, oh, those fingertips. Bluest of the blue, those sparkling eyes. Like hand in glove we fit. You're just my size.
I feel like that's George Gay talking about George Strait.
Hey, George.
That is George Gay.
George Gay. Yeah.
George Strait, baby! Go!
Oh, damn.
That definitely sounded like George Gay.
For sure.
You got it.
I'm kind of finding out here that isolated George Strait lyrics kind of sound gay. It's almost like love is a universal language.
It's almost as if there's no difference, and we are ironically proving that even though we have reduced these two men to their sexualities, we are trying to prove
hold on.
they're more than
Also, for like George Gay, he didn't sing about
Gay stuff. Yeah, you couldn't.
Like, you couldn't do that then. Like all his stuff was still
About Walmarns.
Yeah. He had that isn't George Gay the one that's got that song Father Figure?
Yes.
Which like is only weird because of who's
The
singing
age.
it kind of. Well, it's like the song itself, whatever. We don't have to take that diversion, but I think that song is like, it's arguable that song, there's nothing actually really wrong with that song in a vacuum.
Right.
It just seems a little weird and fucked up.
Right.
Because like it's a grown man
Right.
singing it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like if some
I'd have to re-listen to
what
it.
would be wrong with it outside of the vacuum? Does it sound like it's pedophilic or something?
It's because he was like sensual all the time. Like so
Do you just mean gay, or do you mean
no, dude? He was like a sexual. He was sexy and shit.
He was very
So
sexy.
I'm saying actually, if George Strait sang the song "Father Figure," I think it would just seem like
a country song.
a country song about a father-son thing, and that's all it would be.
But I'm asking, what's wrong with it?
It was against type.
I'm saying there's nothing wrong with it, really, but it's like got a
problematic or just made rednecks feel uncomfortable. I'm not trying to attack you. I'm trying.
Well, clearly that.
I know. Hold on. I'm genuinely trying to ask if you're saying the song is creepy because it sounds like it's like a grooming situation, or if it's just like, oh, he was hiding the fact that it was about a gay relationship.
I don't think he was hiding the fact that it was about a gay relationship. I'm saying that, like, okay, here's what happened here. I had a class in college that was like the psychology of music. It was pretty cool.
Oh.
But, we covered that song in there, and I remember the professor's whole point was like, he played it and asked if people were weirded out by it, and they were. And then he was like, his argument was like, well, you shouldn't be because there's really nothing wrong with it. Okay,
but why were people weirded out? Just because of a gay thing?
Or because by this point in time, George Michael had a lot of like
very sensual, sexual songs, and this song is about being a dad.
Please answer my question directly. I'm asking you why they were creeped out about a man singing it. Was it an age thing or just gay stuff?
I was trying to answer that question by saying George Michael, what Corey just said, but also he had all that shit with public
jack off stuff.
Yeah, public jack off stuff and stuff like that, right? He had like deviant issues in the press for a while and whatnot.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Yes, but really all it was the
But he was gay when you weren't supposed to be gay.
That's what it was.
He had that reputation is what I'm saying.
What'd you say?
Back off your mic, homie.
No, my bad.
So I'm saying he had that reputation, whether fair or unfair, and it made the song seem creepy to people, apparently, is what I'm saying.
I get that. And maybe you don't know, so you might have to speculate, but I'm still stuck on, were people creeped out that a gay man was a deviant, or because the song seems to allude perhaps to an age difference situation or a grooming situation?
Well, the song
was it just like, this is a creepy gay dude, or was it like, wait a minute, this dude is talking about father figure. That sounds groomy.
It's the latter, I think, but it shouldn't have. Is what I'm saying.
It's just because of the perception of him.
That into it because of the perception of him is what I'm saying.
But it wasn't necessarily just homophobia. It could have also been like, although homophobia leads to people assuming all gay
They
relationships.
assume the same
Right,
thing.
yeah,
They
it's
assume that about
ultimately-
homophobic people assume that gay people are pedophiles and shit.
Right.
Right.
But they do be grooming people because men are gross. All men groom young people.
Yeah,
gay and straight.
men are super gross.
Okay. Well, I
Right
think we
for that.
probably have to get out of this segment now. I was going to do one more. Let me do a palate cleanse. This one's very okay. Let's do this. Okay. I'm very excited about this one. I remember too a distant bell and the stars that fell like rain out of the blue. I miss you, darling.
George Strait. Final answer.
Boys,
I mean, I'm gonna go with George
Me
Gay.
too.
George Michael.
Yep. I knew what you did, you sneaky bastard. You threw that darling in there like all
Yeah.
darling-y.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
good. I like
Yeah.
that.
God damn it.
Tushar's
thank you for
accent's getting
playing.
thicker, by the way.
God
Thank you
damn.
for playing probably the last version of George Strait, George Gay. Everyone did a great job, and I fooled everyone once, which I feel good about. And Tushar, I'm not going to lie, you did not do that well.
No, I did not do that well.
You went 1 for 5, right?
We should do since it's Black History Month, a George Strait versus a George Black. I don't know what that would look like.
Can we not call him George Black? I realized we called one George Gay, but that was a play on words.
I'm trying. Is there a black George that hits?
George Clinton.
Yeah, George
George
Clinton. There you
Clinton.
go. So yeah, there you go. Just that. I mean, that works. Hell.
Yeah.
I'll look
And
up
he
P-Funk
wild and look,
lyrics.
it's fun to look at.
I have a feeling P-Funk lyrics and George Clinton might be more obvious, but maybe not. I mean, when you start singing about love, I mean, it really is the
Universal language, man.
All right, let's do, speaking of love, being the universal language, I would argue that George Strait, and we've already alluded to it with making our mamaws panties wet, his bread and butter, his meat and potatoes are love songs. And the song we have chosen today is right in that vein. It's one of his most, what am I trying to say? Best known, most known, whatever. Gentlemen, Carrying Your Love with Me. First, the facts. Carrying Your Love with Me is a song written by Steve Bogard and Jeff Stevens and performed by American country music artist George Strait. It came out in May of 97. It was the second single and title track of an album from that year. It went straight to the top of the Hot Country Singles charts on Billboard. Let's see here. Lost my train of thought here. Oh, and it was nominated for a Grammy in 98 for Best Male Country Vocal Performance. It is a wonderful song. Like I said, it's very lovey-dovey and basic, like a lot of his songs. Let's get right into it. I remember this song being... I've lost you guys. You hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
we're fine.
My Chrome went weird. We're in hotels, guys. Honestly, so far, very impressed with the internet here at this Hilton.
Yeah.
Garden Inn. This was one of those songs that was at every dance, but getting back to the generational Garth thing, the girls liked it more than the guys, even the guys who like country music. I think it was an old school song, even in 97, not just now. Do you guys agree?
I definitely agree. It's got that sort of Conway type feel to it where it's like, of course, most country love songs cater to women, but this one feels just even a little extra. You know what I mean? In a good way. I mean that in a very good way. I fucking love this song.
I'm about to say I love this song. Yeah.
Hey, what's that word? Saccharine? Is that the right word?
Yeah, for sweet, like
Yeah.
overly
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah,
Overly
saccharine.
sweet.
Saccharine
Yeah, I
means overly
Dude,
sweet. Yeah.
Dude, I
think that's
love
what we got
romantic
with this
stuff.
song.
I think that I was thinking when we were listening to this earlier, this hasn't happened, but like with this song, but every now and then on the road, if I get a little too drunk, I get back in my room and I start listening to country music and end up, crying myself to sleep.
Yeah.
It's been known to happen time or two. And I think that if we'd been touring a lot, I think this song could do that to me.
Because of Katie?
Because of Katie, yeah.
Gross.
Sorry. I'm
No.
just saying, if I was drunk.
George Gay.
I'm just saying.
For me and Amber, it's "Let's Get Retarded" by the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah. That's what it's Amber's jam. No, this is not me and
And
Katie
that song made
at
it
all.
into the zeitgeist right before you couldn't do that.
Absolutely.
sure.
It's a wild.
It beat it by like 2 months, it seems like. Anyway, let's
Yeah.
not get into that.
No, I just
I hear you.
Katie. This is not like a me and Katie song or nothing. I just realized when we were listening to it earlier, if I was missing my family and drunk in a hotel room, there's certain songs that'd do it to me, and I never thought about it before. But I think this song would be one of them.
So you say this in response to me calling it saccharine. Are you saying it's not overly sweet to you?
Oh, I mean, I guess it is.
Dude,
like
when I said that, please understand that's not a diss coming from me, because I literally love romantic movies, romantic songs, sappy stuff.
but they
Well, you
don't
didn't say
make
it.
you
I
think
did.
of your wife or anything.
Hell no.
Yes, it's funny. Like he
But,
loves
like,
all
hold
that
on.
shit, but
Let's
I'm
do-
gay for being sentimental about my actual wife. He's like love and romance hits. My wife don't hit. Like she don't hit.
You just reminded me. You just reminded me of one of my favorite sketches in college. It was right when people were starting to like say, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't use gay as an insult."
Yeah.
And this dude's like, "What are you doing today?" And his roommate's like, "Oh, I gotta go shop for a what do they call them? You put a baby in them, Trey? A stroller.
Oh.
Stroller. Nice. I gotta go shop for a stroller." And he's like, "Shop for a stroller? That's gay." And the guy was like, "It's gay to look for a stroller that I have to put my baby in that I made by having sex with a woman. That's gay." And you just reminded me of that a little bit, where you're just like, gay, and it's like, yeah, me and my wife we're gay. Me and my
I didn't say gay. I
heterosexual
said
wife.
gross, for the record, which I know Trey thinks is a synonym, but still.
All right, we're getting out of the weeds on that right now. Here's what I want to do. Let's set up a spectrum. Oh, good. This will go better. If you got Amazed on one end as just like so fucking cheesy, over the top 90s love song.
Yeah,
and then,
that ain't it.
Right. And then, I mean, the only thing I can think of right now is Should Have Seen It in Color. That always makes me cry, and I don't think it's cheesy. But like, what's a love song that's never cheesy? The Dance?
The Dance is a good one. God damn, son.
All right,
that
so
one can make me cry.
You got The Dance over here as like not cheesy, going to make people cry. You got Amazed over here where it's like, come on, that's ridiculous. Where do we put Carrying Your Love With Me on that scale?
Definitely in the middle.
Right in the middle for Corey.
Yeah, now that you've laid it out like that, yeah, for sure.
I think center, and then what we'll call left, which is Garth. Putting Garth on the left and Amazed on the right, which is probably true of their politics as close as it can be in country music. I can't imagine Lone Star is very progressive. I think it's center left for me, but leaning more towards Garth. Trey?
Yep. Yeah, that's how I feel about it too.
Well, I thought you might go further towards the Dance because you just said it would make you cry.
That was me that said that.
Wait, but
no, Trey said it about Carrying Your Love With Me.
You said center left and Garth is left, right? So it's like leaning more in that direction.
Yeah, but I thought you might go further than center. I thought you might be like, no, it's almost as
I just want to clarify something about what I said earlier. Katie would probably call me gay if she knew I was trying to listen to that song.
Well, like the Dance is
just to clarify.
The Dance is heartbreaking.
Sure.
This song is happy.
I get that might have been a bad example. I just want to know if Trey thinks it's like a little cheesy, but it still makes him cry, or not cheesy at all.
Oh, it's definitely a little cheesy. Yeah. It's just because. It's not because it's just a love song. Like the reason I said that is because the whole theme of the song is being separated from the person that you love.
Yeah, it's about traveling. Right. It really makes sense to us.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. We're road comedians, and that's why this song it's not just because it's we're not doing Carried Away, right? Because they're like too similar. Like
not this month, no.
So, all right. So, my first high school girlfriend, because you just
Bag of Shit Amber.
No, this is pre Bag of Shit Amber. Actually, Bag of Shit
Amber never tells us a story about Bag of Shit Amber, and we always go Bag of Shit Amber.
Yeah. This is pre Bag of Shit Amber. My first high school girlfriend, because this is just what you had to do back then. You got a high school relationship, you got to have a song, right? And it's like you just pick a song. or whatever, and our song was carried away by George Strait, right? And that song is just a straight up, just you just hit for me so hard, and let me sing about it type of thing. That song would not incite that response in me at all.
All right,
it's because this one is about traveling and being away from them specifically.
Sure.
So that's why.
You got any thoughts on cheesiness versus sincerity here with our man George? And then we'll get right into the lyrics.
I don't know enough about that, but I mean, if I have to pick left or right,
about love,
right power.
No, just you don't have to do. I know you don't know all those song references, but do you think this song is a little too saccharine, or you think it's hitting it down? Obviously, for the general public, it hit it right down the middle because it's a huge hit. But for you,
yeah, it was a little. It was a little cheesy. A lot of the Lord references.
I forgot. I felt like I'd forgotten the Lord references in the song until we listened to it again earlier.
This is the best podcast on the planet. A lot of the Lord for me. I didn't. All right, here we go.
No, dude, I thought the same thing. Me and Corey listened to it right before we started, and I know every word of it without even thinking about it. But while it was playing and the lyrics were on the video we were watching, it popped up, and I was like, "Oh, the good Lord speed, that don't hit." Like, I forgot he talked about the Lord. I'm not surprised. I just
sort of called him good.
I don't. That ain't it.
Corey, you had an uncle that had some speed that probably came from the good Lord.
Without question, he didn't like God. I don't think so much.
That's why he stole his drugs. Let's do these lyrics. Because we're more than halfway through. If we stick to an hour, we ain't even started. Baby, all I got's this beat up leather bag, and everything I own don't fill up half. But don't you worry about the way I pack. All I care about is getting back real soon. A goodbye kiss is all I need from you, because I'm carrying your love with me. West Virginia down to Tennessee. I'll be moving with the good Lord's speed, carrying your love with me. It's my strength for holding on every minute that I have to be gone. I'll have everything I'll ever need. I'm carrying your love with me.
George Strait has several songs about how much he can or can't fit in a suitcase.
Yeah, he does. He's a cowboy. He's his whole what's the word I'm looking for? Brand is I'm a
troubadour vagabond.
Yeah, and or rodeo guy. Yeah. But let's get into these lyrics. This is a great story song, even though it is a very poppy song, and the repetitive chorus don't necessarily extend the story. You got a lot here. Everything I own's in one bag, and it don't even fill up half of it. But don't you worry about that, because all I need in life is to get back to you. When I leave, I need a kiss, and then I can get back. And he's clearly leaving for work or something, right?
Right. So I was going to bring that up. Watching the video, is he just like a hobo, or like?
Yeah, the video definitely makes
He's hitchhiking to get back, but like from where did he go to do what? Like, because I always just assumed,
and he has his shirt tucked in too. Like,
I always just assumed it was about being a musician. Like, it was autobiographical. I'm out here on the road being a musician. That's why I'm away. But you watch the video, and he's kind of just he's just out on the street.
I think
his manager didn't book travel.
Interesting.
What?
I'm saying his manager didn't book travel, and he's just out on his own.
He's got to suck a trucker's dick to get home.
No, that's Randy
George
Gay.
George Gay.
I think that the director of the video just thought it'd be more interesting. You know what I mean? But you're right. Like, the song is clearly about a working man who's got to leave for work for some reason. He's forced to leave because he needs that goodbye kiss, but he's coming back. Whereas in the video, this guy don't have a home.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I bet you his old lady don't feel the same way about him that he does about her.
You just said his shirt tucked in. George Strait is the shirt tucking motherfucker in the
I'm just saying, if I was a hobo, I think I'd let it hang. You know what I mean?
I bet he tucks his pajamas in.
Guarantee into his underwear.
Absolutely.
Fucking whitey tighties.
All right. Well, we've already brought up the video. Let's do the second verse. I don't want to blow through it too quickly, but I do want to do the second verse because this might be like sort of the inspiration of the video. Not that it makes the video make sense, but anyway, let's get into it. On a lonely highway, stuck out in the rain. Darling, all I have to do is speak your name. The clouds roll back and the waters part. There's the Lord some more if you guys don't know. The sun starts shining in my heart for you, and you're right there in everything I do. I guess you could argue, especially, the lonely highway and being stuck. Why are you stuck if your car didn't break down or you're a hobo?
Again, I always just took it for granted that he had car trouble or whatever. Like he was, I never read any of this hobo shit into it before. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, the thing is that George Strait didn't write the song, so the dude that wrote the song, it was clearly about his music life. I'm certain.
I think it's also one of those songs that works really well for truckers, and there's a long history of truck driving songs
for
in
sure.
Music. Truck drivers are one of the biggest consumers of albums, especially back when that was a thing, pre-Spotify. If you wanted to sell a record, you appealed to truck drivers. So comedians too. So
I was about to say
like it was probably for that.
Well,
Laughing hyena.
Also, so there's a lot of country songs and just songs in general that overlap and apply to like musicians, truck drivers, cowboys, and comedians.
Hell yeah.
They all kind of overlap, and it's just like the fucking road dog life basically, but like they allude to it. I know we're going to cover my personal favorite George Strait song, I Could Still Make Cheyenne, which is about a cowboy, but that's like a comedy song to
Absolutely.
me. But
that
anyway,
makes me cry.
We'll get to that one. But we'll get to that one down the road. But I'm just saying, you're right, and those songs are some of my favorite songs, because I also relate to them. But it's cool how they music be that way.
Absolutely.
Music do be that way.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into the video then. Let me pull some stuff up here. It was directed by Christopher Kane. Now, this is 97. The 90s for country music. I mean, we've had songs on here that we can't even find a video in the early 90s. Then in the mid 90s, you got like, all right, they're trying. Who directed this? What is happening here? Why did that guy rob them? And now we're getting in the late 90s, and it's becoming more of we know who the director is. This particular video was the hot shot video of the week for CMT in May of 97 when it came out. Starts out in black and white. He walks into an empty auditorium. Now, this establishes two things. It gets back to your point, Trey, about it being seemingly like a musician lifestyle. But I also think it allows those cutaways that most music videos had back then and probably still do, where there's what's going on in the story of the video, and then there's the band or the singer singing as B-roll.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I think that George the singer is a different character than George the hitchhiker, and mostly because they're dressed different.
Mm-hmm.
That's one theory I have. And of course, if you're listening right now, pause, go watch the video. It's great. General thoughts from anyone on the video, or should we just go through it as it goes?
I mean, my number one thought on the video was just the hobo stuff we already talked about. Like, that was my main thought watching it. Was like, in my head, I was like, man, I never read any hobo shit into this song, but I feel like this video is sending some hobo vibes.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect that. That's pretty much my main takeaway from the video.
People don't know, he hitchhikes and gets in with a truck driver. There's a shot of him standing stuck out in the rain. And then there's a couple on a motorcycle, and, the clouds and the waters and the sun, it all goes away and the sun comes out. So go ahead.
Yeah, my thoughts on it were just that I just really missed the days when country music and country music videos was just a goddamn white Christian man standing there singing a song. You know what I mean? No painted on blue jean butts and all that, fucking honky tonk rap horse shit. Just a man singing a song
into the water. I was going to save that.
Yeah, that's fine.
What's up with that?
Yeah.
Tushar, why did he drive that truck into the water?
I thought the truck driving in the water was the most Brokeback Mountain moment of this whole video.
You thought it was George Gay?
I thought it was George Gay. Got a little gay for a second.
What do you mean?
After watching the video and kind of reviewing the lyrics, there was a little hint, and this is maybe just because of my bias and because I love the movie so much, but there was a little hint of this is Forrest Gump remembering Jenny, and that's all he needed his whole life. Like it felt like that.
What year did Forrest Gump come out?
94.
94. Yeah.
So yeah, they had 3 years for that. It could be a heavy Forrest influence thing. I mean,
Yeah.
do you care to explain though why you thought driving the truck in the water was a Brokeback Mountain scene?
I don't know. You're just getting in a car with a dude, and you're all of a sudden you're not going anywhere. You're going through like you're mudding. Like what?
Oh,
that's going to
right.
lead to something.
Well, dude,
Yeah, real gay.
no, he's got a like I said, you know. I tell
We've
you,
called the oddest
ass,
things gay today.
ass, gas, or grass.
Ass, gas, or grass.
Nobody
yeah.
rides for free. He's got to suck that trucker's dick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He wants
that's
to
what
ride.
that.
All
I thought
right,
the
can see
video didn't particularly line up with the lyrics. I
No,
think
it
it could have been. I mean, obviously not, but it opens with him walking into what seems to be some like almost a church or something, and then it ends with him walking out, and then the whole video is him in this commute. I don't know. I think it was almost. I don't know if it's just the way, the style of what the director was doing. But it just felt like, you know, a lot of the videos we reviewed have this kind of thing of I'm on the road, I'm out on my own, I'm a vagabond, this thing's going on and I miss you. But I feel like there's an opportunity to like really color what he was actually doing. Like if he's working the road as a musician, that should have been kind of explicit in the video.
But I guess it must be like a choice so that maybe it relates to more like
Everybody,
truck drivers
right.
and everything.
Yeah.
I get that has to be why they did that, but I want to. I feel like with ass, gas, or grass.
Yeah.
I bet in that hobo world, it's mostly
Ass.
ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, if they had gas, they'd be in a different
they'd be in their own
situation.
car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably ain't got just enough drugs just to give away.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a lot of butts.
it's a
getting
whole lot
fucked
of
in
butts getting fucked out there on the road, boys.
Every time I sucked that dick, I thought about
Hey,
Jenny.
you know what? I teased it earlier. There is one song that George Michael and George Strait both sang, and it was "There's a whole lot of butts getting fucked out on the road."
You just reminded me of that time you were talking about Randy Travis, and that fucking truck driver's like, "It must be my birthday."
What the fuck, Randy Travis's butt? God damn, dude. But when he's around all the other truckers talking about getting their dick sucked, they just straight up don't believe him. Quit, Randy, quit. Well, I mean, they're two Randys. Other Randy.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
They talk about him when he's not there. I mean, look, if he's going to make up a lie, make up something more believable than Randy fucking Travis.
Yeah,
you know,
goddamn, Mark
I can see.
Chestnut, maybe hell.
Marty Stewart, sure. I mean, you know, if I was drunk, but Randy fucking Travis.
God damn.
All right, let's talk about this songwriter. There's not a lot of background info on one of them, but Jeffrey David Stevens, was a very established country music singer and songwriter. He had a band as Jeff Stevens and the Bullets. One thing that I thought was interesting, he's from West Virginia. He's a hillbilly. I think it's hard to get out West Virginia in that lyric. Like it's like that's a lot of syllables to put into that part of the couplet. I think my man put home in there, and that really hits for me.
Yeah, you got to turn into that too. Virginia, West Virginia. Like, yeah, you got to make it somehow 3 syllables.
It's also they border each other. That's not that much distance. Like to go from
That's
West
true.
Virginia to Tennessee, it's just like, but you got to do Tennessee because
Like Pennsylvania would fit and make more sense.
Right.
Just as one example.
From Pennsylvania down, but like fuck being in Pennsylvania.
But Pennsylvania don't hit.
Right.
This guy's
That's
from
why
West
he
Virginia.
left.
West Virginia hits for him, yeah. I mean, you're definitely right, Drew. I mean, Tennessee is it's good for lyrics,
it's a pretty word. It's an Indian.
It's the George Jones or Hank of states that you have to mention.
Yeah, and so, but West Virginia, it's 100% because that guy's from there. Guarantee it.
Yeah,
but it hits.
Tennessee and Appalachia are both, Indian words. Not your kind, Tushar, and it's just much prettier language. It's a shame.
No.
All right, let's get back into the lyrics.
Hey, quick question: did George Strait's kind of discography, how much did he sing himself or write himself, or is most
None,
of those
right?
written?
He did. I know for a fact that he had. I don't know if it was number one hit, but he charted a top 10 with one that he wrote, and it was "The Chair."
I remember the chair.
He wrote "The Chair."
Just real quick, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. If you could turn it down, maybe a touch, Corey. I think it's you.
So
I remember The Chair. That was one that was about Clint Eastwood and that thing he did. It was a good song.
if he wrote that one, so he must have been writing some every now and then, I guess.
I'm sure.
He
It would be weird just to write one.
Yeah, he definitely didn't write many of them, though.
Oh shit, I'm an idiot. I forgot this is one of those 2-verse songs. We've gone through the lyrics. I do want to get back to the video. So the rest of the song is "I'm Carrying Your Love with Me." It's just the hook over and over again. Long hook for 90s country. Maybe we're in a transition. We haven't done a lot of late 90s things. This is one of the longer hooks or chorus. I mean, this is a proper chorus, I guess. We've had mostly just hooks, which borrowing from rap and pop. This is a longer chorus, which I like. It's got the I don't know what the right word is, tempo and melody to me of a gospel song.
Yeah, I can go with that.
I don't know.
Gospel don't hit for you.
I just don't know much about it. It's not so got like the other. I know I've said a million times. But I wake up with any random song stuck in my head for absolutely no reason. Right. The other morning, it was that fucking, and this isn't gospel, right? But it's like Jesus-y shit. It's like it came upon me wave on wave.
Oh yeah,
You're the reason I'm still here.
That's
Pat Green.
Fucking Pat Green. Yeah,
is that not a Jesus song?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's about a girl.
But it could definitely. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like I could see it being Jesus.
In my head, it was like,
dude,
the
Christians
Lord's
do love
grace
singing
or
about
whatever
Jesus.
it was. I don't know, man. I don't know why I thought that, but
because it
I love
sounds
that
like
you
it's
sang it
about
like
Jesus.
a soulful black man.
it's
Well, that's a thing Christian singers do. They copy poorly that, and then also it sounds like they're talking about Jesus coming on them, which is another thing Christian singers do.
I know it seemed to fit to me. I don't know.
Waves have come.
Waves of Jesus has come. Washing over me.
Let's get back to the music.
Roll
video.
Tide.
There's something I want to talk about specifically with George Strait. That this was a requirement of 90s country. Corey's already alluded to it. I want a Christian man looking at the screen singing right into me. Now, Strait was one of those. He's the prototypical old school country sex symbol or whatever, whereas he is the sex symbol you never call the sex symbol. You're not supposed to talk about it because he's not sexy. He's rugged. He's handsome. He's Kevin Costner. But obviously, he's got all these female fans. He's never singing explicitly in his lyrics. It's always sweet and saccharine, but a huge portion of his fan base are women. I would say most of them. I would say if you go to a George Strait concert, there's no groups of buddies there unless it's us and we're George Gay. It's mostly couples and women coming. But I want to share something real quick. Now, this is a good picture. I mean, that man's got beautiful green eyes. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
But at this part of the video, I found to be creepy as hell. Did anyone else, when he's looking, it's like it's too close or something. There's something very off about this part. It was almost like they told George to be sexy and he literally don't know how.
It's kind of funny that you're saying that while shoving your whole head into the camera.
I know, but
like,
listen, I'm on my new
close.
computer and I don't, like, look how far back I got to get to look normal. I'm like 5 feet from it.
Your whole head being in the camera is not hitting for me. It's just, that was funny. Yeah, and I mean, I didn't notice it myself while watching it, but I mean, I'm sure he don't know how to be sexy, probably.
Yeah, I would argue
that
he don't know how not to be sexy.
Sure. Well, yeah.
The shots where he was like his close-up face, it was very glamour shotsy.
Yeah.
It was very like airbrushed, and his teeth were a little too white, and there's clearly makeup on him. Is what?
To be a hobo, he does have some really good teeth. I agree.
He gets all them rides.
That's how he gets all them rides. Is that what you said?
Yeah, from the truckers who get their dick sucked behind
Yeah,
later.
he's got those glamour
Butch
shot
fuck.
eyes.
No,
Here's
they
what I'm
fuck
gonna do. I've got the video pulled up. I'm gonna play that part without sound.
Did we
And
play
show
the sound
y'all-
for Maybe It Was Memphis?
Yeah, that was the problem.
Okay, I'm about to say, because I got
And
flags
it was,
for
and
that.
I couldn't figure out how to turn it off, and it was a lot of sound.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll just be careful, please.
I understand. Also, that's a good segue to announce. I am going to start a YouTube channel for Bubba Shot the podcast. I'll keep putting them on trays for a while, maybe indefinitely. And you can follow us on Twitter at Crown Royal Bag. And you can get updates there. I'll be putting a poll up over who the king of 90s country was soon, and we'll be promoting that. It'll be George versus Garth. We don't even need to do a poll, in my opinion, for the queen, but maybe I'll put one up.
We definitely don't.
Yeah, I mean, Dolly was the queen at the time, but she
90s,
like kind of just retired. You know what I mean?
It's Shania, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, let me do this screen share and show y'all what I'm talking about. Because to me, it almost was like, dude, this sucks, but I love George Strait and he is more handsome. But it's almost like how Mark Zuckerberg looks like a robot kind of, and it makes you uneasy.
Yeah.
This particular part of it, I hate to besmirch the man. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
It kind of looks like those
The way he's dancing.
it looks like those deep fakes.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it looks like that's not actually George Strait. They just put George Strait's face on another dude.
Yeah,
kinda
I think
what
you're right.
I think that's why it looks weird.
I think there's two things going on that's causing that. You're completely right. I think makeup wise, like the glamour shot comment, Tushar, you're exactly right. Something weird happened there. Also, there's something strange about how he's dancing with only the bottom part of his body.
He looks like those jib jabs.
Yeah, yes.
He looks like a jib jab deep fake.
Well, this was made in 97. I bet that like the director was filming him dancing and singing and was like, you have to keep your head still for this shot. This is where we're going to make all the mamaws' panties wet. You can't be moving too much, but keep dancing because whatever. And I mean, I think he just looks fucking awkward.
He also looks, to that end, he looks like he's lip syncing. He's obviously not singing the song.
Right.
Right. That's a good point. Well, all right. Nothing else? Cool. Well, it's about time to vote, fellers. I'm voting for George Michael personally. I think he was definitely the best part of this podcast. I will start with Tushar. Tushar, carrying your love with me, West Virginia down to Tennessee, moving with the good Lord's speed, which we've talked about and bothers some people. What are you? What's your vote?
I'm gonna go 2 1/3.
Okay.
Because the video was a little kind of basic. I know why. Too many Lord references. And then I feel like he has better songs that will probably hit this month.
Well,
So I want to try to set the baseline for that.
Great commentary right there, Tushar. That was awesome.
I also think, cause we're doing thirds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I was 2 1/3. Yeah, I ain't going lower than 2, but mostly just because I also know that he's got songs that hit harder for me than this one. This song does hit, but it is like, I mean, it is kind of, cheesy and saccharine or whatever. It's not like he ain't really doing anything too like groundbreaking or anything.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
It's a good song,
With
but
this
it's
song,
filler.
but it's just it's a good song. So I'm not going lower than 2, but it ain't like nothing special or anything.
Well, and what he's doing is there's a divot in the country music where George Strait drives his songs, and he is right in the fucking lines with this one. So it's
For
97.
sure.
He's got a brand, and he's in there. Corey, I feel like we're breaking some former and future mamaws' hearts with this rating. You going to change it for us? We're at 2 1/3 right now.
I'm not saying this just because that's what both of them said. My first instinct was to go 2 1/3, and I'm going to stick with it because again, that's not disparaging the man. I mean, my God, he's got great. And 2 1/3, that's a great song.
Good.
That's a good fucking song. But like, yeah, I mean, there's not like it doesn't have one really single lyric that I'm like, that right there. You know what I mean? And like, in order to get any higher, you've got to have at least one lyric that I am like, man, that was well written. But like, it's a good song, but it's 2 1/3.
All right, I've been conflicted this whole time. We've established the third Earnhardt's as our rule, and I'm sticking with that. I will say, if that weren't a rule, I'd definitely be at a 2.5. I've been going back and forth between 1/3 and 2/3. I agree with everything y'all have said. What I'll say in the and let me say one thing y'all haven't said. I've said this before. I don't like 2 verses. I want 3. I realize
beginning, middle, end.
I realize that's a formula, the beginning, middle, end, but we're talking about 90s pop country. Like, the formula is there for a reason, folks. But that aside, I lean towards 2/3 because of the melody being so fucking undeniable. This song is such an earworm in a good way. I've never been mad this song was in my head.
Absolutely.
Not a single time. And for that, I'm going to give it 2/3. This is one of my 3 or 4 favorite George Strait songs. It is saccharine. It is over the top, but that's George Strait to me. He is the king of late 80s, early 90s country for sure. We'll have the battle between him and Garth later of the 90s overall. He did that by appealing to very basic things. I mean, the fact that he rarely writes his own songs, but that's a strength because he's that good of a singer, that all falls in line with what's going on with this song. This is consummate George Strait, so I'm giving it 2 2/3 because it's just, to go any lower for me, it's like I'm attacking Strait. I know y'all don't feel like that way. I'm not saying y'all are doing that. I'm just saying that, like, this is George Strait to me, other than his cowboy songs, most of which are 3s. I'm going to go 2 2/3.
All right.
One last thing. We didn't do the rap equivalent. I'm not sure what it would be.
Well,
They don't
do
This
that.
one's rough.
Yeah, they don't.
They do be talking about, carrying their city with them.
The only bitches I ever talk about are ones in the room with them at the time. Like,
Right.
not
Yeah.
the ones back home. They got different bitches back home.
Yeah, this
out
is a
here.
stretch. This is a huge stretch. I'm going to say I Put On For My City by Young Jeezy. And the city is a woman. Like, he's taking the city with him everywhere he goes. Like, if I'm in New York, I put on for my city. If I'm in Atlanta, I put on for my city.
I'm with it.
He's carrying his love for his city with him everywhere.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I ain't got nothing better.
No.
All right. Appreciate y'all. This has been Bubba.
Bubba Shout the podcast, and that's right. A show about country at its height. Don't expect no shit from 2005. Bubba Shout the podcast,